What happens when someone grows up in civil war and ends up being a conduit for shepherding other people through post traumatic growth?
With everything that we do, we have a neural boundary. We have to expand it. Once we expand that neural pathway or neural boundary, then we have new resources.
Welcome to the Frequency Files. Thanks for joining us as we explore the vibrations, forms, and creations and mechanisms behind them that inform the nature of existence. And today we're speaking with Haran Singham. Haran is a counsellor, resilience coach with many modalities under his belt and over 15 years of experience guiding individuals and organisations through greater clarity, joy, and purpose in both their personal and professional lives. His path to this work was forged through lived experience, growing up during the Civil War in Sri Lanka, seeking refuge in Australia as a refugee, and navigating the depths of depression, trauma, and suicidality. And through a profound journey of healing, Haran transformed his life and deepened his profession and his spiritual connection, ultimately leaving a career in accounting, which he previously had, to follow his true north, which was helping others to do the same. Haran, it's amazing to have you here with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah. Yeah. Great to
Har-
be in this space.
oh, I'm stoked to have you here. You've had such a vast life journey so far, and I would really appreciate if you could share with us a little bit about that and about your background and what's led you to where you are now.
Yeah. Well, where do I start? It feels like I lived so many lifetimes in this lifetime. You know what I mean? Like, as you know me, I have gone through. Well, I start with where I was born. I was born in Sri Lanka. I grew up in a war zone, moving from one place to another, running around, um, trying to survive pretty much, and lived through a lot of different types of trauma in my life. And then came to Australia as an asylum seeker, and then I started studying after coming to Australia. So I was in detention center for about almost 3 months, and I was granted permanent residency after hearing and everything. And then um, I started studying. I studied business first, and then I worked in this area for a few years. I hated it, and then I was looking for answers, as in who am I, what am I doing. I was going through depression. My trauma also started manifesting as well around that time, so I became um, very depressed at that time. And I saw psychologists, psychiatrists. Nothing really helped me. And I was also, harming myself as well. And I was thinking about unaliving myself as well. And there's a lot of thoughts around that. And also, I guess around that time, I also looked for answers as well in my life. And that led me to doing what I'm doing at the moment. That is, helping people overcome their trauma and live their purpose, find happiness and fulfillment in their life.
Wow. That is a massive summary for a vast array of experiences. What were the turning points for you when that trauma was resurfacing and you were doing the suggested things, i.e., psychology, psychiatry? What turned the needle in a different direction for you?
I was always sick during this time, and I was, self-harming and going through depression. And at the same time, I was also sick pretty much every week. Sinus issues, asthma attack. Around that time, I was like seeing the doctor on a regular basis as well. And this is a Sri Lankan doctor. We speak the same language, and one day he was jokingly telling me, "I see you more often than anyone else, Haran, and I see you more than any elderly people."
Mm.
And for me, I felt really, I don't know, I felt really embarrassed, I think, being there with him when he told me
Mm.
that. I looked up to him as well. Um, he's a role model in our community, and he did so much for the Sri Lankan Tamil community as well. So hearing that from him, I was like, what is he talking about? How do I stop this? And then I was also thinking, I'm seeing the psychiatrist, psychologist, and I'm regularly seeing my doctor as well, because my father would encourage me to see the doctor if something comes up. Just always go to the doctor. So my mindset was like that as well around that time. So this is like in my early to mid 20s, I guess. Yeah. Um, and after that, I went home, and that's when I actually thought I need to stop going to the psychiatrist and psychologist, because I've been seeing them for a while. Nothing changed in my life. I'm sick all the time, and I was actually sick of being sick. So that's what changed me. And after that, I started exploring different things as well. I started. Um, Becoming more religious, as in I would sit down and sing hymns, and I would sometimes, keep my eyes closed and pray to God. Um, and then slowly found ways. So how that happened for me was I was working for Telstra at that time in customer service, actually. Um, so one of my colleagues said that she goes to this particular meditation class, and she wanted me to go with her. She asked me to go with her. I thought, okay, let's go and see. So I went to this meditation class, and I saw a life coach putting her pamphlet there. So I looked at it, and she was doing hypnosis and NLP. I thought I would probably give her a call and talk to her about what I was going through. So I called her, said, I'm always sad, always depressed, and I was seeing a psychiatrist and psychologist. Nothing really helped me. And I just want to know if you can help me. And then she said, yeah, come and see me. And then I actually saw her for, I think, just over 2 months. And I stopped feeling suicidal. I stopped self-harming. So for me, that was like, wow. And that's when I actually opened my mind to a holistic approach to any problems in our life. Because all these years I'm seeing the traditional or having that traditional approach to my challenges. But
Yeah.
now I've seen this lady, she was doing probably pretty much like 90% of the time, she was doing hypnosis and then a little bit of NLP. And here, I was feeling good. I wouldn't say it was like I was totally happy after that, but I stopped feeling suicidal altogether. I stopped self-harming, and I stopped feeling moody as well. I remember around that time, I hate going to uni. So what I will do, just I will shut my door and I will just sleep for the whole day because I was so depressed. I didn't want to get out of the house. So for me, I guess that was the turning point for me, just opening my mind to different approaches.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. And I love, your raw honesty and that it did take time, but you did notice change because it's cumulative for things to manifest in desirable or not desirable ways. And it can be cumulative for change to reveal itself as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, and it's great that you stuck with that process and saw that tangible shift enough to trust that. And obviously, like now that's just propelled you to so many different places and studying a range of modalities. Like, what was next for you after that?
Yeah, after that, I actually quit my job. I was working as an assistant accountant at that time. I quit my job as well, and then I was like, okay, what do I want to do with myself? What do I do want to do with my life? Who am I? So those questions just started coming out as well around that time, and I actually wanted to live after that. And um, after quitting my job, I studied like disabled care. And then I would go to people's houses looking after people who had accident or whatever. I looked after the elderly as well. And so I was doing that, but I wasn't really happy with that because some of the places that I worked, it's all about numbers. Like, for example, I worked at this aged care center. You have to get three elderly people ready within 10 minutes. For me, like, for me to go to the toilet, it will take me more than 10 minutes. So I'm like, I tried to have a chat with the nurse who was in charge at that time, and she was like, "No, this is what you have to do." And I'm like, no, this is not, I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to tick boxes and say I've completed this particular task within 10 minutes. These are not tasks. These are people that you're dealing with. These are people, human beings. So I really struggle with that. So after that, I thought maybe I need to get into something else. And then, so I did hypnosis after that. I studied hypnosis. And then I also started studying counseling around that time because I want to also get into the mainstream as well. So after studying hypnosis, I learned a lot about myself, about mind and the subconscious, how we get programmed, and how our past programming, our trauma, and every experience that we have actually control the way we live our life. So that changed my life after that. So I was so invested in personal growth and finding more about myself as well. And around the same time, I started studying healing as well, pranic healing. Pranic healing opened up whole lot of other dimensions in my life. Learning about chakras, not just learning, but physically seeing and feeling and working with it and the aura as well. And then, aligning chakras, cleaning them, reprogramming them.
Yeah.
All these things, for some people, it's hocus pocus. But for me, when I first learned it, I didn't really believe it, but I got into it because I wanted to learn more meditation. After learning it, I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Because I personally started experiencing a lot of changes in my life as well. So that's where my journey started.
Yeah. And to echo what you said about like pranic healing, not, the perception that it might be hocus pocus, just it was developed by a chemical engineer who was anything but hocus pocus, right? It's
Yeah.
profound, uh,
Yeah.
profound knowledge. Haran, I want to rewind to what you said about learning more about the nature of the brain and programming. Can you talk us through a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So from the time that we are born, or even, when we were in our mother's womb, all the way till 7 years old, our frontal part of the brain, frontal lobe, is not developed. So around that time, we are actually functioning on either alpha wave or theta wave. So what that means is our subconscious is very dominant around that time. Our critical mind, our analytical faculty is not developed at that time. So whatever you hear from your parents, whatever you see, that just goes into your brain, into your subconscious, and it becomes your foundational or core beliefs.
Mm.
That's why most people struggle with religious beliefs. People will say this is the only religion. Most people will find it very difficult to change their religion or change their beliefs around that because of that.
Yeah.
And then after seven, your frontal lobe slowly start developing as well. But what happened as we grow older and older, until our late 20s, our frontal lobe is still developing. So in yeah, in my understanding, I think we only become mature after 27 years old, maybe even 30 years old, because the frontal lobe is still developing until 27 years old. And the thing is that most people are not really aware how our environment actually influences how we think, how we behave, our likes and dislikes, what we want in our life, everything, our values, our beliefs, everything is actually shaped by our environment pretty much. Either fortunately or unfortunately, it's our parents when we were born. And then our culture, our relatives, our teachers and friends, and then as we grow older, then our media. Nowadays, the social media is everywhere. Either consciously or unconsciously, we are always programmed. So if you believe you have to live in a particular way, if you don't question that, then you just live that way, then is it really what you want or some sort of programming? And the thing is that our mind doesn't know the difference between what is imagined and what you really see or experience. So, what all your negative thoughts, negative self talk, and everything is going to influence the way that you live your life.
Mm. And perceive the world around you and
100%.
what is and isn't possible. Those beliefs are really just thoughts that repetitively keep being thought about till they become concretized energetically and physically.
That's right.
But as you point to and are a testament to, that can be changed.
That's right. That if you want to change it, you need to invest a lot of time and a lot of time into it. Because what happened once you develop a particular belief or values or whatever it is, our ego will try to protect it. So you will come up with excuses. You will find ways not to deal with that particular problem. You'll whinge and whine, but you won't really make changes unless it becomes so painful.
Unbearable. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's a reminder for all of us how we can fight for our limitations and how impersonal that is, both when we're doing it and when maybe loved ones or people in our life orbit are doing it. It's just a function of the operating system, for want of a better word. And that's right, like a focus, commitment, and yeah, like a dedication or a want to imagine and practice something new is always possible. It's always there.
yeah. And the thing is, like what Dr. Joe Dispenza says, fear of the unknown, right? The subconscious mind is always feeling uncomfortable stepping into the unknown. So it won't. It's not just the subconscious, but the ego wants to know everything. Some people want to know everything about everything. If they're getting into something, they want to know everything. Otherwise, they get anxious. So that's your ego trying to protect you. There's nothing wrong with that. But then if that's actually controlling you, then you need to find ways to change it. um, One of my client, that particular question that you asked me reminded me of a particular client that I worked with. She came to see me where she wanted to unalive herself and she didn't want to live. And then when I started talking to her, um, she talked about her past relationship, how she was abused and beaten, and what she went through in her life. Then I actually understood, this is actually her trauma talking. And then for many months, she didn't want to even start. She will just say certain things about where she's at in her life, and then this is not the right time or whatever, but then she will still cry and she doesn't want to live in this world. um, she was really struggling at that time, and it got to a point that it was affecting her son as well. So then she reached out and she's like, I can't live like this because I'm hurting my son as well. So I need to do something about it. And then she started her journey with me, and then she's changed. So being aware of our own ego trying to stop us from making those changes, that's very important.
Mm, yeah, yeah. And being kind on ourselves and acknowledging, hey, this is just a mechanism,
Yeah,
you know? And that's amazing about your client, choosing that consciously for herself and for her son.
yeah.
Yeah.
The mind will come up with so many different mechanisms, or it will create different behaviors and addictions to cope with your past pain, to
Mm,
mask them. It can be alcohol or drug abuse. It can be sex addiction. Some people start eating just to numb their pain. But on a conscious level, that's not what you're doing, because people would say, "Oh, I love that," or "I love to do this." But that's not the actual problem. You're not really looking deeper to really understand what is really causing everything. This is just what you see on the outside, on the surface. This is just the tip of the iceberg. But
mm.
what is holding the iceberg? There's, trauma. There's so many other things that you have gone through that's holding it.
Yeah. What would you say to people who may find themselves either um, living in, seeing the world through, or finding their family social group environment is a fix it and make it go away culture, or a I'm at the coal face of this. I've got all the things that you've said. I'm ticking the box to. What do I do with that?
First, I would say self-inquiry, as in become aware what's really going on for you. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Don't worry about what other people are telling you, but focus on yourself and really tap into your heart. Tap into your heart and see if you are living the authentic version of yourself. That is, if you value love, or if you value kindness, but you can't even be loving towards yourself or your loved ones, there's a contradiction, there's a conflict, right?
Incongruent.
Yeah, it's very very incongruent there. That you have to hold yourself accountable. How you hold yourself accountable? Reaching out to professionals and asking for help. Because if you don't address it, then you will go in circles. You will create other problems. And before you know it, you probably, will end up hating yourself, and you don't want to, that's what happened to me in my early 20s. Um, I didn't want to live because of that.
Mm, mm, yeah. And, something I love to ask our guests to share is how can you align with more harmonious frequencies? What are your suggestions for people? They're doing the inquiry, and that can be an uncomfortable but incredibly rewarding place to be. What are some other resources that they could add to their toolbox to cultivate more alignment?
Yeah, I would look at it in two different ways. One
Yep.
of them, how you can do it by yourself.
Yes.
Can be a long journey sometimes because there's heaps of things, and it may take a little bit of time to figure out what will work for you, and also
Yep.
depending on what you want for yourself as well.
Mm,
Um, so if you just want to just be happy and that's what you want, then you can just start doing a lot of meditations and doing healing work, and um, that's something that you can do for yourself. Even for that, sometimes it's good to learn it from someone who you
yeah.
mind to as well.
Yeah.
So when you start doing that, and then also learn a few different tools as well. For example, tapping that I talk about often.
Mm,
I think I spoke to you about that a few times. Yeah, like tapping. That's something that's probably one of the first tools that I learned. That really helped me, and so you learn to be in control of your own emotions rather than your emotions controlling you. And the second thing is to go out there and explore the world. And also, whoever you feel aligned to, learn it from them.
mm,
That's what I've done because I was kind of learning things and then applying by myself, but I still felt lost as well. Then, when I reached out to people who were experts in this area, I learned so many different tools that I was able to apply on myself. Then I'm also helping other people as well because I learned it.
mm,
But if you are not thinking about working with other people or even helping other people, if you want to work on yourself, you can still do that as well.
yeah.
That's okay too.
Yeah. 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 Great. Great. And just to clarify, when you say tapping, you mean EFT, emotional freedom technique?
Yeah, there are a couple of different tapping techniques available. One of
Yep.
them is EFT, emotional freedom technique. There's another one called thought field therapy, TFT. So both of them are very similar as well. Emotional freedom technique, you will be saying things even though I have pain, I deeply and completely accept myself and things like that, and then you'll be tapping.
Yep. Yep.
Um, uh, but with thought field therapy, you don't say anything. You just tap, and it releases those emotions as well and the energy.
Mm,
Yeah.
amazing.
I like thought field therapy actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Another, just as you're saying the tap, or it's not quite tap, but it's a touch in a similar way, is the PBA, psychobioacupressure, which is, yeah, from a French doctor where they're using that acupressure points, and that's now in the Medicare system in France. So, which is great. Great to see those kinds of changes. Anyway, tangent there.
There are so many different types of tools
Moment.
and techniques available. Like when I learned hypnosis itself is vast. There
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
different, Ericksonian techniques, and there are so many others as well.
Yeah.
Learn those tools, and it just
Yeah.
changes people altogether. Uh,
100%.
and then when you learn NLP, there are hundreds of different techniques there in NLP. So you learn that. And then on top of that, you learn pranic healing and so many other modalities. So you have so many tools in your toolbox.
Absolutely. And it's so exciting, wow. And with in a more of a digital age,
Yeah.
which, has its blessings and curses, but one of the immense blessings is this ability to have the knowledge exchange. There is no shortage of incredible tools and remarkable teachers.
Yeah, yeah. And I think another technique that we often use in counseling is CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. I feel like that's very much on the surface. Don't want to put anyone down, but
Yeah.
that still helps. But at the same time, you need to go deeper and deeper and deeper into your consciousness, into your subconscious to release some of the beliefs and what's really holding on to your pain and sufferings.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah. To listen to the second part of this interview, including Haran's experience at a deeply personal level of applying these tools, as well as how he navigates the mainstream context, just flick to the next track.